that brings you inspiring stories of courage, strength, and faith. Listen in as we explore how God's love and grace can inspire and motivate us to overcome life's challenges and light the path forward.
Hello, Pathfinders. It's your girl, Deborah the Queen. Thank you so much for joining another episode of Light the Path podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Make sure that you subscribe on all audio platforms and also here on YouTube. I would love to have you as a subscriber. You can put that notification bell on so that way you can be alerted every time a new episode is up. Season 5 is all about grace. The number 5 represents grace in the Bible. And so all the episodes for season 5 will be centered around grace. Today's episode is Grace to Pivot, Navigating Change with Purpose. It's a solo episode, and I saw a meme over here on Instagram that started giving me downloads like crazy. So I'm like, you know what? I need to do a podcast about this, because if I can share some points that can help people navigate change with purpose. I've been through some swift transitions, and so I wanted to share about 3 or 4 points, probably 4 points that I use in my own life to be able to navigate grace and to pivot with grace. So let me read the meme to you. It says, the biggest lie you keep telling yourself, I'm too old to pivot or transition. Now, if you are ready to move with intention and step fully into the life you deserve, this podcast is for you. These 4 points are going to be strong. I ain't even going to hold you long, but they are going to be essential for you to be able to pivot with grace and to be able to navigate change with purpose. So let me read this particular verse to you. This is a familiar verse, Ecclesiastes 3, chapter 3, verse 1 through 8. And this is real good. And this is the, let me see. I want to do the NLT version. Let me see. Let me get that pulled up. I thought I had NLT. Okay. All right. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. For everything, there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to harvest, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to tear down, and a time to build up, a time to cry, and a time to laugh, a time to grieve, and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear down and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time of love, a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. And then if you go down to verse 11, it says, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. And so I said, wow, God, this is so good. So I just want to encourage you today with this episode that you are allowed to shift, evolve, and step into something new whenever you decide to. Now, your next chapter is waiting on you, but it won't start until you do. So I want to give you 4 points in order to pivot and navigate change with purpose. So the first one, and this is probably the hardest one. Whoo, God, it's the hardest one. Letting go of the past to embrace the future. Ooh, how many times the past be coming up, be tapping you on the shoulder. You remember this? The good old days, the good times. You know what? Sometimes pivots often require us to let go of what we once knew, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a lifestyle that no longer serves us. Letting go of the past can be incredibly difficult because it's tied to our sense of identity, our comfort, and we don't want to relinquish control. We like it how it is. We want to just keep going with the flow. We want it to stay the same. And as you see in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything. There's a season for everything. And we must recognize that in order to embrace the new things God has for us, we need to release our grip on the old. We have to have this life in an open hand. Embrace growth and transformation, knowing what God has ahead of us is for better than anything behind us. And you might be thinking like, well, Queen Cole, you, Deborah the Queen, you just doing this, you doing that. I see you on social media doing this. But listen, I am used to swift transitions. Let me just give you a little rundown. In 1997, well, let's see, let me rewind. May 1997, I graduated high school. July 1997, I had my first child. November 1997, I got married. November 1998, I had my second child. And then 17 years later, I got divorced. And I think at the time of this recording, I stopped counting, but I think it's been almost 10 years since I've been divorced. So your girl is used to swift transitions. I've been pivoting with purpose, okay? So these points that I'm giving you are tried and true methods, okay? And I'm sure that God has some more pivoting and transitions for me to go through, but these are the points that have helped me significantly. So the first one I just told you, letting go of the past. Let it go as much as you can. You're going to need God's help with that, for sure. Number two, we need God's guidance in decision making. When you're going through these different transitions, sometimes you're going to be on an emotional roller coaster and you're not going to know how actually to react. You don't know if I should go in my emotions. You may be tired. You may be sick and tired. And so it's like, okay, you may not be able to make a educated decision if you're just making it off emotions, how you're feeling, what's going on, the circumstances. You might be reacting. So pivoting in life often involves making tough decisions, whether it's a career change, moving to a new city, or embarking on a different path. In those moments of uncertainty, it's vital to seek God's guidance. His wisdom is available to us when we earnestly ask for it. And he promises to lead us if we trust in him. The most powerful way that I find direction is through prayer. Prayer, I can lay down all my worries, all my questions, all my concerns to God, and I get his peace in exchange. Because who wants to be up all night trying to figure out if I say this, what they gonna say? If I do this, what they gonna do? Then you're trying to think of every single scenario. And I'm saying this from experience. I'm an overthinker. So I'm thinking about every single possible scenario. But that I've established a prayer life has helped tremendously for me to make these big, tough decisions. And I don't have to overthink it because I leave it to God. I let him do the heavy lifting. I do my part because I have to have some action to it, but I leave the heavy lifting to God. The third point is the role community has in your pivot. During times of change, it's easy to feel alone or unsure of which direction to take. However, God designed us for community. We are never meant to work through transitions alone. And listen, when we share in the right spaces, okay, we got to make sure these are safe places and safe spaces to share. You know your community. You know who you can talk to, right? And so once you have that community behind you, when you share, you may be helping somebody else, because the enemy will have you thinking you're the only one who's going through this. You can't tell somebody this. They will never understand. And that is not true. That is not true. And that's why community is so important, because when you surround yourself with a circle of people who share your faith, can provide emotional support, encouragement, and wisdom as you navigate your pivot. In challenging time, God often uses the people around us, whether that's family, friends, church community, to speak truth into our lives. This aspect of community can offer insight that we may not have seen. It could be something that's in my blinders that maybe my brother can see that I didn't even see coming. And so they will be able to help hold us accountable and to help lift us up when the journey feels difficult. So make sure you got some folks around you. Make sure your community, your tribe, your people have your back, your front, your side. Make sure that they're able to help you through this pivot, because sometimes we can't do this thing alone. Of course, we need God's help with it. But again, like I said, God uses people. Okay, He uses other folks to be able to help us navigate these different challenges and pivots. And then the final point that I want to make is that you should find purpose in the pivot. A major aspect of pivoting is understanding that even our plans can change. God is still in control. Can I talk to the planners? Can I talk to the planner? I'm a planner. Plans change, and that's okay. We may not always understand why a pivot is happening, but we can trust that God is working behind the scenes to fulfill His purpose for our lives. Even in moments of confusion, God can use the change to refine us, stretch our faith, and lead us to something greater. So if you think about the story in the Bible of Joseph, it's a great example. Joseph's life was marked by dramatic pivots, from being sold into slavery by his brothers to being falsely imprisoned. Yet through it all, God had a purpose for his life that became clearer when He saved his family and the entire nation from famine. In hindsight, Joseph recognized that even the painful changes had a redemptive purpose. And that's with us too. When we are in the midst of a pivot, it's easy to feel as though everything is falling apart. However, let me encourage you and remind you that God can take what seems like a loss or disruption and use it to fulfill His greater plans. I just wanted to encourage you today to navigate pivots with grace, focusing on God's wisdom, having that community with you, purpose in your pivot in each and every new season. And remember that sharing our experiences is not only empowering, it can help